Americans are sick and tired of being broke and having to nickel and dime everything. That's what I'm hearing from a lot of you guys and across the United States. Welcome to this Poplar report this Saturday morning. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. We got another Watchmen update. We got riots in Chicago. Yes, it's the weekend, I guess. And New York City. Why not? Outside federal offices there. And President Trump refusing military aid package to Taiwan. What's going on with that? The United Nations snapping back major Iran sanctions. We got Russia sending fighter jets into NATO airspace. A bunch of people upset about that one. And Japan's national bank starts dumping stocks. That, as well as what's happening at your local stores and what's happening across the United States. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates that you guys are sending in. If you have something to share, make sure you use the word update somewhere in your comment. That gets it to the right place. Appreciate all of you who send in comments about what you're seeing at your stores, any conversations you're having with management or people at the stores, or particularly we're talking a lot about gardening right now because a lot of people are having trouble with gardening. Letting us know what you guys are seeing there. If you're hearing anything from feed stores or any agricultural stores that you go to, what you're seeing with that or with farmers, letting us know what's going on out there. Appreciate that. All right, we do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people with retirement accounts to get out of stocks and bonds and over into something safer like precious metals. It's probably a good idea these days with the market going up and down and sideways. It's been a lot of stuff this week for sure, but if you want to get into something safer, Jonathan and his team can help you out. There'll be a link at the end of the video if you want to find out more about what you can do with your retirement account. All right, speaking about those type of things and a massively surprising decision, the Central Bank of Japan has announced that it will start selling its ETF holdings. Those are basically mutual funds full of stocks, right? You might ask yourself, why does the Central Bank of Japan own stocks? That's the government owning. That doesn't make sense, right? Well, actually, they own about half of the stock of companies in Japan. Yeah, the central bank owns basically half Japan because of reasons. They printed all the money, infinite money, and then basically just bought half of Japan with it. Anyway, they're going to start selling at $4.2 billion per year worth of stock. And at that rate, they'll be done sometimes around the year 2130. So a little over 100 years. At what point do you just laugh at them? Like there is no mask on. They're just stealing. They're just stealing money. That's what they're doing. So these central banks are doing, they're just stealing from future generations. They're stealing from us. And they're getting insanely wealthy doing so. And all their buddies are. But what we're seeing is that banks across the world are putting increasing pressure on this global bubble. Assets are way overpriced. Real estate's way overpriced. Stocks are way overpriced. Bonds are just stupid. Who would loan money to the U.S. federal government for 30 years? You'd have to be insane to do so. Like, if you think you're actually going to get paid back that money, that value, in 30 years from now, no. Everyone knows that's not going to happen. That's just silly. All right, hundreds decided to go protesting yesterday outside the Broadview Processing Center in Chicago. Officers there are rounding up the worst of the worst and getting ready to send them home. But a lot of people in Chicago not having it. They were protesting, and by protesting I mean they were setting fires, slashing tires of vehicles, assaulting officers, and blockading roads, which, you know, is peaceful or something. Mostly peaceful, I guess. In New York City, they were at it there as well, almost like it was almost a criminal organized activity in different cities. 71 people arrested for violent actions in New York City, including a bunch of state and local representatives or whatever, and 1 congressional candidate managing to get arrested. Brilliant for assaulting officers. Anyway, moving over to Estonia. Yes, it's a country. Estonia is claiming that 3 Russian fighter jets, MiG-31s, violated its airspace on Friday morning near the Vindaloo Island. They entered without permission and remained there for about 12 minutes. The aircraft had no registered flight plans and no transponders were switched on. At the time of violation, there was also no two-way communication between the air traffic control in Estonia and those fighter jets. So they're unhappy about that. Now, that island is basically halfway between Estonia and Finland, and on the other side is Russia. It's international waters, but they're like, it's our airspace. Well, yeah, funny things happen. They're allowed to sail ships through there, but Estonia is freaking out that they've tried flying fighter aircraft through there. Anyway, the European Union is proposing its 19th sanctions package against Russia. I'm sure this one's going to work. This one's going to work. The 19th one is the charm. Again, you just have to almost laugh at the Europeans. Anyway, this time they're going to include a full ban on importing any liquefied natural gas from Russia, starting in 2027. It's 2025, so they have a year and a half to stop buying natural gas from Russia. You can imagine how much the Russians are just trembling in fear, you know. Meanwhile, the Russians are building their giant pipeline, take all that natural gas over to China, and really at the end of the day, all that's going to happen is the little manufacturing that happens in Europe is going to move elsewhere because energy is so expensive there. The United Nations Security Council in New York City voted to end sanctions relief on Iran. So there were sanctions, then there was sanctions relief. The sanctions relief is expiring and they refuse to kind of renew it. So that means that all United Nations countries are going to be obligated to abide by the sanctions on Iran starting September 28th. I'm sure that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm sure Russia will definitely not trade with Iran whatsoever. Of course, Russia already has tons of sanctions on them, so they probably don't care. President Trump has declined to approve the Taiwan military aid package. So basically, we're going to give $400 million worth of military stuff to Taiwan, and President Trump said, no, we're not going to do that. It's one of the rare instances where Washington, D.C. were not giving free stuff to everybody. Now, I mean, the United States doesn't have a problem selling stuff to Taiwan, right? I mean, Taiwan is not exactly a poor country. But the United States, for many years, has gotten into the habit of just giving free stuff to everybody. Now, why is President Trump not approving this military gift basket for Taiwan? It's because President Trump is in active negotiations with Beijing, President Xi. He's going to meet President Xi next month in South Korea at the APEC summit. And he's planning on actually going to Beijing maybe early next year. Apparently, trade deals are being hammered out. President Xi helped President Trump save TikTok, so all the youngins are happy in the United States. But because of those trade deals, apparently President Trump didn't want to do anything inflammatory against China. Speaking of inflammatory, the House of Representatives voted to make a statement condemning the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So that was unanimous, right? No, not unanimous. 96 House Democrats decided not to vote for it, even though they were there. So 50-some voted actually no against it, which is just confusing. And you kind of have to ask yourself the question, how can we live with these type of people? Like, how can we live with them? Do we have any common ground with them whatsoever? I thought common ground, at least recently, was like, we don't kill people. But apparently that's not common ground anymore. Well, you tell me what happens next. The Trump administration has added a $100,000 fee for any companies trying to bring in foreign tech workers into the United States. So basically, before they bring in tech workers from other places, they have to pay a $100,000 fee directly to the government, which will be a disincentive, of course, to these companies doing that, going that route. So that's good. A number of reports out there coming in, some TikTok videos. I know, TikTok, crazy. I heard about it on Twitter, but I saw a couple of videos posted by Walmart employees complaining about food, refrigerated food, sitting out and not being refrigerated. One worker actually taking a thermometer and sticking it into the food product at 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which is twice the safe refrigerated limit, and they're just in boxes stacked up on the floor, not in a refrigerated compartment. And just, we got nationwide food recalls, we got salmonella outbreaks, and we're seeing more and more stores doing these hot loads where they're putting refrigerated stuff on regular box trucks and just trying to race it from one hub to the next, and then it gets to the next place and there isn't enough workers to load it into refrigeration and it just gets dumped out there. Anyway, that's happening. So be careful about the food that you're buying and the stores that you're buying it from, unfortunately. I don't know how you can protect yourself from that, really, honestly, except to just be as careful as you can and really inspect your fruit and vegetables and refrigerated goods for damage. SPK says Northeast Washington State, an explosion of bugs here. Over the last 2.5 weeks, I drive 1,000+ miles a week locally. Only had to clean my windshield one time this whole summer until about 2.5 weeks ago, when an explosion of bugs appeared out of nowhere. I've had to clean my windshield every other day since then. Who else is seeing this? Now, we've had a dramatic lack of bugs across most of the United States, but a bunch of you guys are saying that there's this late bloom of bugs. Very unnatural. Larry says, in southern Michigan, our potato harvest was very poor this year. We're hearing that from a lot of folks out there. Carrots and potatoes, and then a whole bunch of tomatoes not ripening up. So a fourth of what they harvested last year. John says, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I am seeing well over a dozen small used car dealerships disappearing. One day they have 100 cars on the lot. The next day the lot is empty. What do they do with those thousands of used cars? I'm pretty sure that they sent them to auction. Is there going to be a glut of used cars and crashing used car prices? What's going on? So basically some of the Tricolor just imploded. They were issuing auto loans for cars. We have more cars being repossessed, so those are going into the auctions. These pop-up car dealerships, used car dealerships, they may not be able to get access to loans anymore, so they may be going out of business because of that. Or they may have more increased government scrutiny of them because they were selling cars to people they shouldn't have been selling cars to. Or people can't drive anymore because they didn't have legal licenses in the first place. Lots of things going on out there for sure. We haven't seen a massive decrease in prices on used cars yet, so we'll keep an eye on that though. Big Blue says, in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, we usually have robins bopping around the yard from March to November. I haven't seen a robin since early spring. KD Glow says, rural central Missouri. Went to the pharmacy at Wally World today at noon. There were a lot of elderly people picking up their prescriptions. Each and every one of them was coaxed to get all of their preventative, they put in here, stingy things, or their pokes, right? Get all of them ASAP. One woman was told that she needed 7 pokes, and the pharmacist could do 3 of them today, and the rest of them the next time she came in. Isn't that helpful? I guess there's an age cutoff because no one said anything to me about them. I just would have told them, no, I am 60. Also maybe people on Medicare. If the government's paying for it, then the pharmacist is absolutely going to want to do as many pokies as possible. Buddy says, seeing a lot of grocers in central Wisconsin mixing pork and beef when it comes to ground meat. Sure, it's happening everywhere. Of course, a number of our audience tries to avoid pork for religious reasons, some of you for health reasons. Just be aware that does appear to be happening more and more out there. Heidi says the price of chocolate chips is going really high. Here comes the baking season, starting with Thanksgiving almost here already. No named turkeys at Walmart already here. $18 for small, $23 for medium, $30 for large. The higher end stores are likely to have higher prices. The small pasta section at Walmart is barely half full. Emily in New Jersey, their hospital there, brought a friend for a procedure, check in lots of questions, including religion. They did a Diametrics hand scan, made it clear that the doctor is billed separate from the hospital. He has insurance, but got an odd feeling. Did she know that it would not be covered potentially? Possibly. That's the thing. I mean, how many times you go to some place that's in network and then you get a bill from one of the doctors or the anesthesiologist or something like that? Even though they're at an in-network hospital, they are not in-network. It's just all the stupidity of stuff that's happening these days. It's just everything's so complicated and so nonsensical, really. Now, religion, that's important to put on your form, right? I mean, if you need to have a priest or a pastor to come visit you, chaplains will come and visit you sometimes based on your religion that you put down there. Plus, certain religions do have, you're not allowed to do certain things, right? So like some are against blood transfusions. Some, sometimes it affects the food that they can serve you, right? So there is some concerns of why they would put religion on your medical forms at induction at a hospital or for surgery. So let me know what you guys' experience with that is, but that's my understanding of things. Brad says, West Missouri, my wife asked me, why am I hearing night sounds, tree frogs, during the day? Good question. I have been hearing this for the past month, the night song of the tree frogs around here during the day. No bullfrogs either. Have not heard a good-sized bullfrog since pre-2019. Just the ecosystems are under attack. Paula says, you really need to start watching the ounces on your products. Suave body lotion used to have a 32-ounce pump, was $4.47. Last time I bought it at Walmart, Suave shrunk it down to 18 or 21 ounce, depending on where you buy the squeeze bottle. So now I'm going down to buy a 6-pack from Amazon, which averages out to $4.23 a bottle, which is still high considering that it used to be 32 ounce. This is supposedly to be the cheap brand. I am so sick of being broke. I'm spent the day getting shocker after shocker trying to find ways to save money. I have to say I'm getting pretty sick of this, and a lot of people echoing that mentality. All right, friends, thanks for being part of the Watchmen community. Keep your reports coming in. Make sure you use that word update, of course. If you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold about what you can do with your retirement account, there's a link right there on the screen. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.